I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Making discoveries like this is why I always take the off-beaten path and why I go exploring. You truly just never know what you're going to find. Oh wait, what is that? Found something. I think I may need your help with this one. I'm not entirely sure what that was used for. I've come to a crossroads of sorts. I came upon some trails that I just recently discovered. They go in all different directions, but I don't know exactly where they go. What I do know though is that these trails are in the vicinity of an airport in that direction, and they're also in the proximity of a location that I once documented that had a deadly accident, and soon that location may no longer exist. But what I want to do is to see what's along these trails, if anything, and to see where they actually end up. If you like to explore some trails and revisit that deadly site before it's gone, just come along with me. I do know the highway's over here. That's the noise that we hear. Okay, so it's actually split off even more. Let's go left first. A lot of items dumped back here. Oh, it's a little roundabout. Just brings you to the edge of the highway. It's a dead end. Okay, that was simple enough. Got a hanger right here. We'll try this one. There's some couches back here. Some sofas. Looks like they were recently placed here. I think this might be just the access road for this billboard here. So this goes to, okay, a cell phone tower. Good to know. Well, let's head back and pick a different direction. All right, we're gonna take this trail here. It's one of the first ones I've passed on the way to this location. And it's flooded. All right, we made it. Okay, so this is a macadam road. It's pavement. There's some chairs down here. May just stumble upon something down there to the left. Let's see where this goes though. Actually not a bad road. Getting overgrown, but it's still paved. Nice and smooth. Okay, there's a roadblock with a detour around it. Okay, so we got a few different directions here. The road keeps going. There's some train tracks. Okay, I think I know what that is. We'll investigate that in a minute. This goes for quite a ways. All right, this is the airport. The outskirts perimeter of it is all fenced in, so we're not going to go any further in that. So this is an access road, one of probably many access roads for the airport. All right, we have a multitude of trails back here. This is the main thoroughfare, if you want to call it that, with multiple offshoots. Like it's all bedrock. Huh. Came to a split here. I am seeing some coal material. These little piles right here. Okay, there's the fence for the airport. We're on top of old coal workings right here. Okay, we're back to the airport. So at the fence here, the trail goes right. We were up there and goes left, curves back in. Airplane taking off. And this road on the inside here is the patrol road for airport security. I have seen them in other areas in the past, riding these roads, just patrolling the perimeter. The last part you saw was me in front of the fence. I hung a left, followed the trail, just went back through the woods and brought me further down on the thoroughfare. And I hung a left to backtrack and came down here to talk about these rails for a moment. But as I was getting some pictures, I looked down the ground and I found this nice chunk of anthracite coal known as the Black Diamond. That's a nice piece. Well, getting back to the rails here, this is part of a switchback system. You can see that these rails don't continue. They do stop with these yellow stoppers. They're painted yellow. The rails go for about another 10-15 feet and then do stop. And they're not even shiny here, so trains don't really come back this far. I'd be surprised if they ever do. But this is part of a switchback system for the Luzerne and Susquehanna Railroad, a subsidiary of R.J. Corman. Now, you may have heard those names before on my channel because we have documented different areas where their lines either currently go or used to go. But this line, the main line, comes from Pittston area and travels north, and I believe it passes underneath 81, and then it goes up kind of near the airport, and it stops on a train bridge that was once part of the Erie line. That line I documented and showed that bridge on 2 different videos, which I will link them down below. They do stop on that bridge. They hit a switch back up and come on this switchback here. There may be 1 or 2 switchbacks. I'm not positive on that, but there's definitely at least 1, but I think 2, if I'm not mistaken. These switchbacks will help them get up to the secondary main line, which will take them on the outskirts of the airport, on the far edge of it, over the turnpike and into an industrial park up in Pittston Township to service some industries up there. But this is nothing more than just a switchback, and it's only ever used if they are servicing that industrial park. Otherwise, there's not daily or normal freight traffic that does come through here. But we will be seeing their lines further on as we get to the outskirts of the airport and back towards the deadly site that we're heading to a little bit later on in the video. And for those who are curious, today I'm riding my Anaoki A8 Pro Max, my long-range e-bike. And I brought this for a few reasons. Number 1, because it does get really long range, well over 100 miles, just on throttle alone. Number 2 is I have self-sealing tubes, so if I wish to get a puncture, they do seal themselves. They just have to top it off with air. And number 3, I got the large crate to carry my gear, and it's just a comfortable ride. This is also the same bike I rode when we actually followed the old R.J. Corman line through West Pittston all the way down to Sawyersville. I used that bike for that video. And also down in Schuylkill County, checking out the old coal towns down near Gilberton. I used that bike as well. If you want to get more information on it, there will be a link provided down below in the description. See if we can open it up a little bit here. Nice long straightaway. That was pretty fast, pretty bumpy at the end there. Okay, we're back to where we started. Power lines are here, so there's a trail going to the right along the power lines, which I think I know it's going to go towards the direction we need to go. But this trail up here we bypassed earlier, we went to the left, it took me to the roundabout. We're going to hang a right now. This looks like it's the old main road, because like it's still partially paved down here. I had to stop for a moment, I was dragging a branch. Yeah, this is an old paved road. Really old macadam. So, off to the left will take me towards the highway. It's pretty thick and overgrown. It's an old telephone pole line. But I think I could get up here to the right where there's some dumped material, which should take me to that power line trail. That might be my best bet. This is a much better trail, following the bigger power lines here. We'll follow this out and see if it takes us where I think it's going to. This also looks like an old rail bed. We're going through a rock cut section here. And did I just find a toy? It definitely looks like a rock cut section here. Rock wall on the left, on the right. But then we have a flat screen Philips television and some headless toy. Looks like something a child would sit on. Like a dog or a horse or something like that. It's headless though. Very odd. Some other dumped, discarded items here as well. Yeah, I'm not certain. This may or may not be an old rail line. I don't see any ballast or ties or plates or anything like that. It is just a silty, cindery material, but very much resembles an old rail line. Maybe we'll get more confirmation, but let's just keep going. So the road we were going to follow is down here to our left, but it's just really overgrown. This is the more main used trailer road, but they do parallel each other, so we're not really missing anything. If I was down there, this is just easier to travel on. And we have a water hazard. And I'm going to have to just go slow through it. Easy enough. Oh, another dumped couch out here. A lot of furniture. So let's bring us to a clearing up here. I think I know where we are. So right here we do have a stone bridge abutment. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been for the Laurel Line electric streetcar service that went from Scranton to Wilkes-Barre, which also went to Rocky Glen, which is over in that direction. That might be for the Laurel Line. But we're going to go down here to the right because this is the old road. I mean, right now the road's used for a business that builds homes, but this old road here used to go back towards the deadly accident location where we're heading to now. So I'm going to bypass all this and I'll see you somewhere over there. Oh, wow. We're now past the runway airport area, which the fence does continue in that direction. But this area here is the outskirts of the deadly accident location. That location, remember I mentioned earlier? They're patrolling around the airport. This was a black powder mill. It was just known as the powder mill to locals. And I documented it back in 2017. And this site is proposed to be no more. They are projecting to put a massive warehouse facility here. When I was here 7 years ago, up in that area were a few storage bunkers for the black powder. I did document those in my video. Since that time, this area has been worked and altered a bit, and they're no longer there. It's exposed land. I'll show you when we get up there. What's mostly back here now is just some old roads. We have some paved roads, some dirt roads. We're going to see a lot of trails, but we need to get deeper back into it to find what is still remaining out there. Now, to give you a better sense as to what used to exist here, not only how it looked, but the history of it, I want to take a few moments to cover all that with you right now. The Balin Works, or Balin Mill, of the DuPont Powder Company was named after the president of the company. Construction started in 1910 to meet increasing demand for black powder in the anthracite region. This large complex was purposely built far from populated areas due to the danger of the business. Buildings were constructed and spread out for safety over 180 acres and operated under this name until 1972. It still produced the same product as it did so many years ago, mostly still sold to the federal government. It was then sold to Gerhard Owen, later known as Goex, who continued operation as late as 1997. On the evening of Wednesday, April 16, 1997, 2 large explosions at the facility took the lives of 2 employees. One explosion leveled a building where black powder is ground into varying sizes, and another explosion happened in a push cart that was carrying powder away from the building. The 2 blasts could be felt and heard from miles around as homes shook and vibrations were felt in the ground. At the time, this Goex plant was the only black powder plant in North America. The company produced black powder for muzzleloading, blasting, fireworks, and safety fuses. After the deadly explosions in 1997, the plant closed and relocated to Louisiana. Today, nearly everything is gone, including the buildings, storage bunkers, and miles of tracks. But there's still a few remaining things out there if you know where to look. This location is also the proposed site of a massive warehouse facility that is currently facing stiff opposition, but if things get approved, this site will be razed and never look the same. To get more information and to see more photos, please check the links in the description. And just to show you how this landscape has changed over time, I'm going to show you this area in 1949, and then we'll jump ahead to 1992, and then to 2005, and finally 2022. Nature for the most part has reclaimed this area, but not everything is completely gone yet. Now that you have a better idea as to how this place used to look, what used to be back here and the history of it, I want to explore it one more time because, like I mentioned, it may no longer be here. Ideally, this is not great conditions. I'm actually here the worst time of year to explore this area. It's super overgrown now. Nature has really reclaimed this area, and it's going to be hard to see things. But I wanted to come sooner than later because if those proposed plans do come to fruition, this place is going to be raised and altered and not look like how it does now. I want to document this one final time just in case those plans do take place and they do start doing construction back here more than what they already have. We'll be able to have one final look. If it doesn't happen, then we'll come back in the future. But we're just going to take some of these roads, some of these trails. I do know some of them do loop around and connect with each other. We will be doing some backtracking to get back to areas that we've already covered. But there are a few things out there, including some structures and some ruins. But there were miles of tracks, old wooden structures and platforms. There was a ton of things out here. I'll be shocked if we see rails or platforms. But we're definitely going to see a few buildings, at least. I don't know about you, but I am ready to start exploring again. So let's start taking some trails. See what's back here in the depths of the old powder mill that was once the location of a deadly accident. There's a lot of broken up pavement back here, mostly dirt and stone. I'm gonna go up this way first. This is an old road. Okay, we're back to some pavement. It's like the area over here has been worked with the excavator recently. Okay, a lot of offshoots. We're going to explore as many as we can today. It's like this was the main road, at least one of them going back here. Still going. Oh, it veers to the right. Actually, let's check that really quick. I want to kind of cover my path as I go, at least with this main road. I do see some tracks on the ground from like an excavator or a dozer. So something was back here. This is actually maybe up above that area that was worked with the excavator. So this brought us to an open pad site where it's now a dumping ground. It doesn't look like much is back here. I do see tire tracks. There's a vehicle back here recently. You can see how much the overgrowth is just taking over the road here. And this brought us to a dead end. At least for the most part. Looks like it may have continued, but it's really thick there. There's a faint trail there. A little clearing right here. So this was worked recently. Maybe a bit of bunker site. All right, let's backtrack and hang a right, get back on the main road. Okay, back on the main road. Okay, off to the left there's a clearing. It looks like that's another part of the airport over here. I do see a fence, so this may be a dead end. Okay, fence right there. I saw a windsock. Another clearing. This may have been another bunker right here. And got a little hill right here. Oh, okay, we're actually right at the airport right now. Okay, so runway's right there. Oh, there's the tower up there. Okay, so I don't want to really hang around this area just so I don't draw any concern for them, think I'm up to no good. So just gonna follow this trail out and hopefully to bring me back down. But this would be a cool spot though to watch some planes taking off and landing. Now I know down here we passed it, there's a trail or a road going off towards our right. I think I'm going to take that. That should lead us back further into the complex of the powder mill. A little steep, a little rugged, but we're making it. Like this is maybe a connecting road or connecting trail. So off to the right would be the airport. Off to the left. Oh, I do see something. Okay, we're to another main road, but there's something in the woods over here. Yep, found something. All right, we were in luck. We did find something. So on the ground here is some corrugated plastic. Looks like some roofing material that they would use for a shed or something similar. Rubble of concrete. But we do have something more substantial right there in front of us. And it's something that is open. And you can actually go through it. It's like a makeshift tunnel, I guess you would want to call it. There's also a wall right here with a pipe coming out of it, which is made out of PVC, so it's not terribly old. Again, this area was worked up until 1997, so it's not a really old site. So it's not going to be surprising to see some more modern materials. But as for this, it's completely made out of concrete. There is a steel beam going through. And I do hear a train. What did we just stumble into? a railing post right there. This is just a solid rectangle of concrete. But something, I believe, was on top of here. You can see there's some anchor bolts and a hole, which I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. They may just be eroded through. But something, without a doubt, was mounted on top of here and encased in these solid, super thick concrete walls, which is more like a bunker. Oh, as we come out, there's steps right here. Look at that. They actually still exist. Mostly overgrown and covered up, but there is actual steps, like a manway. So, without a doubt, I'm looking now too, there's some discoloration there. Almost like rust. I wonder if there's like an engine or something contained in here. But, obviously man came through here probably to access that. And with the steps here, to come topside, oh, look at this. It's an old water valve. How cool is that? Just sticking out here out of the ground. See, it says 2506 right there. Right there, 2506. Imagine if water came out of here. That's a neat finding. So the steps come up right on top of here, and then we are presented with the top side of this structure, and I think we have confirmation now that this is supposed to be open. I think it's pretty solid. So that's looking right down on top of that rectangle concrete block. And then we do have the wall there with the PVC pipe coming out. So water was used in this area. Don't know for the use, but with the PVC pipe, most likely water is going through there. We do have that water valve there. Maybe it was a pump room, pump house. Now, the one thing we're going to notice today is a lot of these. These are like smaller scale rail ties. That's because there were numerous rail lines that came through here for what essentially were mine carts. They used mine carts or ore carts to transport the powder material from location to location, as we've seen on the older photos that were shown during that segment. But there's looks like some flat, rail beds. This one here, I believe, is a rail bed. There's numerous ties up here, so most likely carts did come through here. This is all new growth trees. These weren't here, obviously. There's also a pole right here as well. Telephone pole right there. But yep, there's ties here. So rails are removed, but tracks did come through here and come right next to this little bunker. So right off the bat, we made a really good finding. Not only finding this, I think this is completely awesome right here. But now we have confirmation too that rails itself did come at least right next to this, if not indeed for this exact location. I was just coming back up, looked out to my right, and noticed something of interest over here. I want to investigate it. I don't know if this is related or not to the mill, but it did get my attention. This right here, though, is concrete. That's a huge concrete block. Looks like that was the exposed area that was beneath the surface. Looks like it's maybe pushed here. This doesn't look like its original location. But that is a big, huge block of concrete. I'd say from bottom to top, probably in the deepest area, maybe 4.5 feet across, maybe 7 feet. Looks like maybe even longer that way. That's a huge block of concrete. But we do have look like an exposed area of something but it's actually a really dangerous location. Wow. You can see that. That is all fractured material that is falling in on itself. It's basically forming like a V, because both sides are, you know, laying against each other, and that is going to fall at some point. It's fractured there, it's fractured there, it's fractured over here. And it looks like it's been like this for a while with material falling down. I don't know. Now that I'm looking at it, this may have been an old mine. There's a vein of coal right there. I think this is plugged up. But that is super sketchy. Even if it was open, I wouldn't even venture near it to get a peek inside, because anything could set that off. And you got this big rock shelf right here, which is completely smooth, and that's fine. It's everything below it. All this material is like, almost like you'd see out in the desert. It's just really soft and brittle. Like, yeah, look at this. I mean, I could pick at it. That's not good. That's really unstable. I shouldn't be able to do that. So all that is that right there. I will say, if I had like a rod or a long stick to poke at that, it would be kind of neat to see it kind of fall down and take away the safety hazard. But I think we may have stumbled upon maybe a bootleg mine or a shaft of something of sorts, whether it's for haulage or drainage, I don't know. But there's definitely a vein of coal right there. That right there, that black, is coal. Not a big vein though. Only maybe 2 feet at the most. Just rock over here. Maybe it's just exploratory. Maybe they only went in a little bit to see if it keeps going and then just discovered it's unsafe. That could be the case as well. But that is, wow. Really neat to look at, but I wish you could really appreciate how sketchy it is seeing it here in person, because I've been into some sketchy locations, but something like this is a literal death trap. The only thing that's holding it up is just itself. If you were to, like I said, poke at that, take some of those pieces out, it would just all collapse in on itself. Pretty neat though, to find this out here. Okay, that's where we came out before. This is new territory. Not going to go too fast. I want to keep my head on a swivel, just keep scanning, because like I said, this is not the right time of year to do this, but we're going to make it work. Fork in the road. Let's take the right first. Another thing I've said before, which I'm going to say again, is that I'm so thankful for having the e-bike to do this, because covering all this ground on foot, although it's doable, it would take significantly longer. I'm able to do this in a reasonable amount of time, cover a lot of ground, not be worn out, carry my gear. It's just a game changer for me for exploring. Not practical in all environments or situations, but stuff like this, it certainly is. All right, this is leading. Okay, this is not where I want to go. This is the airport fence right here. It's leading away from where we want to go. So let's backtrack and continue on the main trail. Let's go the other direction now. Okay, we came down from there, we hung a right, now we're gonna go, this is left. This is without a doubt going to be a lengthier video, because I'm just covering so much ground and I want to show you as much as possible without trying to bore you as well, but I want to do my due diligence to cover this area before, if anything does come to take place, where they do basically erase everything that we see here. It's kind of neat though how things transpired if you really look at it in a different perspective, where at one time this was just barren landscape. They built a, what the hell are these? Oh, there's little baby geese or ducks. Ooh, turkey. Those are baby turkeys. I just came upon a little family of turkeys. Didn't mean to scare them. It kind of startled me. What I was saying though was once a barren landscape became a pretty large complex site with roads, rails, buildings, equipment. And after the accident that took place in '97, a lot of this stuff was raised, but not everything. But now nature's reclaiming it, where it's getting back to kind of where it started. And I wouldn't mind it being like this, or leaving it like this, but if they do end up putting a warehouse complex back here, it's going to just never look like this again. So just wanted to kind of put that out there as to how you can look at things a little bit differently of the area that we're exploring today. Oh boy, we're at another fork. All right, let's go right again. This is probably going to take me to the airport, but we won't know if we don't try and check it out for ourselves. Oh no, I think we came to the right area. I think I know where we are. I think this is maybe, yes. Look up ahead of us. That is a big, large wall of a building. This is the area I remember from 2017. Yep, we've reached the area. The rails are on the left-hand side going through the woods, which up ahead they do cross over the turnpike and go back to the industrial site back in Pittston Township. All right, we found some stuff. This area has definitely been worked since I was last here. It wasn't as open and exposed like it is right now. There's something right here too. A little bunker. I'll check that out too. Just want to see this trail to the end. Make sure I'm not missing anything further down. I don't think I am. Okay. So if I was to keep going, there's a bunch of rail ties there. This may have been serviced by rail back in the day. I'm not certain of that, but there's definitely a bunch of ties leading in this direction, but then I don't see them over here. Actually, I'll go over there and show you. So we have a wall right here and all these rail ties. Now the R.J. Corman line is right down there. You can see it. And that's what crosses over the turnpike, going to Pittston Township for the industrial complex. This may have been serviced by rail. I wasn't aware of it, but looks like there's enough evidence leading to that. There was definitely a rail line coming through here. Could have been just the little mine carts, but these look larger. It looks like there was a gate here too. There's a post right there where it had fencing. Okay, that area up there is posted, but we're not going up there. It's like maybe a marker right there. And I'm kind of curious now where this leads to. Well, our speculation is correct. This was 100% a rail line that came off of this line. This was a spur line. So they would have crossed over. At one time there would have been a switch up there. The rails would have came this way and continued where we just came from, servicing the mill site. This is the outskirts of the mill area. Like I said, we're not going up there. We don't have to worry about that. That's the northeast extension of the turnpike that we hear all those cars. And this will lead into Pittston Township, Luzerne County. On foot now, turned around and came back to what we passed earlier, what I call the bunker. I don't think it's a bunker. It looks like a little house, actually. And someone put a blue tarp over it to kind of give some protection from the rain. Look on the outside here. It's a post with some eye hooks some holders or brackets. Looks like maybe conduit coming through. Wooden frame, solely made out of concrete, at least the floor and the walls. Something was located inside of here, maybe for power. Wooden roof is long gone, just the framing of it is here. But again, someone went to the effort of putting a blue tarp on it and securing it. It's not all that old, it's not dry rotted and deteriorated, it's put on within the last year. Do have a few windows. The thing that interests me though is this little port right here, which just goes out, not big enough to go through. But then we have another port right here where it's sloping downwards like a little chute. Oh, there's actually more behind here too. All right, we'll have to walk behind and check it out. Yeah, the conduit goes right through here too. Looks like conduit or access for either wires or plumbing, but I'm guessing wires. As we look over behind it, we do see a wooden frame just kind of leaning on its side. It may have been on top of that wall. And this wall almost looks like a holding container or a retaining wall because it's leaning inwards like that. This side too, leaning inwards, like it's holding back weight. It may have been stored for material. So this is the back side where I said looks like a chute. Looks like there was a flap or a door there made out of metal. And there's something maybe was mounted in there. Or something may have been positioned here. So we're now inside of a large rectangular bin, if you want to call it that. It's made out of concrete. There is some things in here. Oh, there was a building in here. I'm actually walking on the rubble of it right now. That's cinder block. Losing my footing. Yeah, something is collapsed in. Oh, okay, I remember this place. Sorry, I got really excited there. This was an old tool room. At least this area. There's where the tools were hanging. Shovel, broom, mallet, maybe a brush. I remember this from 7 years ago, but it looks much different today. I think I maybe saw it from up there. Yeah, I 100% remember this. It's like a jungle in here now. Gonna be checking for ticks today, I'll tell you that. So, okay, we got that documented. Got the little building documented. Now we need to go up above and behind this towards the larger building that we drove by on the way in. I have my bike parked up there right now. I walked over here and we should be able to explore the remainder of that area on foot. But I will say I'm not certain, but I'm confident that there's more out here. Even though this is like the main primary area, the area that's not really touched a whole lot, or we have the most structures, I still think there's a few more things out here from what I remember, if they're not already removed. I will be searching for those. But we're gonna be heading over there, just up on the upper end of it next. Look what I just found. Piece of narrow gauge rail. It's embedded in the ground. Most likely was a little rail bed here for those mine carts. We're now above and behind that utility building where I got excited in there seeing the outlines of the tools, just because that sparked a memory. I'm like, I remember that. And I saw it from up here 7 years ago. So now, I don't remember if I was ever inside of it back then, but I definitely saw it from up here. But it wasn't overgrown like this. My bike is up here, parked in front of another building. Not the large one, but another one that we did pass from the lower side. And this one looks pretty dilapidated, worn down. Probably not going to be able to go inside, but let's see what we could make of it. The roof is gone. This looks like a hopper. Sitting on a concrete base, metal siding here. It's like a tin metal on the outside. I may have been inside this building back in the day. This looks familiar. I remember this dark wood. It was primarily all wood, just this tin metal on the outside. Yeah, I think I was inside that building. It wasn't like this back then, obviously. 7 years does a lot, both from man and from the elements. The manway right there. Not much else to say about it. It's just barely surviving, but still here, part of the operation. And I'm pretty certain that rails did come through here, those little narrow gauge ones. But we want to get over there. That's the exciting building, at least for me. It's the largest of them here. And I remember I was able to freely get over there last time. This whole area is transformed. They really worked a lot of it with the equipment. And it looks like they may have taken away some areas. It's actually looking kind of sad and depressing, even though it's just ruins. For me, though, from what I remember, it was a bit more intact. I remember there was like a platform that was coming out of that doorway of that building right there, curving out. It was actually in one of the older pictures, which when we get over there, I'll show you a before and after. But yeah, they really wrecked this area. I don't know how to get over there now other than just hiking over there. I'm going to have to try to find the easiest route. Regardless, though, I'm determined to get over there, check it out, we'll get inside, try to line up that before and after picture, but it's definitely much different than what I remember, at least back then, 7 years ago, which I'm using that term a lot, but I'm just going based on my last exploration here. It was a lot more recognizable as to what things were. Now it's either hard to recognize or just completely gone to even know that it once existed. All right, I got about as close as I could get on my bike. But yeah, this area is just destroyed. It's completely warped and they erased so much out of here. It's good thing we're doing this today because I have a feeling it's not going to be around that much longer, even if they don't go ahead with that project. The fact that they worked this just says that things are going to be changing here. I definitely recommend going back and watching my 2017 video if you haven't done so. It'll be linked down below, but it'll give you a good sense as to how this place used to look 7 years ago compared to today. All of this wasn't like this, at least from what I can remember. But I have to get down there, and it's not going to be an easy feat. There's a lot of loose material here. So I'm going to safely make it down there, and we're going to get inside that building and explore what's left of it today. I honestly don't remember how I got in there, but I know it wasn't this difficult. I remember there was a much easier access, whether there was a road. I want to say there was a rail bed coming through here for the mine carts. This is all new area that was worked by heavy equipment since I was last here. So whatever was here is now gone as far as access to this place. But there was, from what I remember, an old rail bed, and I'm fairly confident of that. And once we get closer, I'll explain why. Now I just spotted something here. This tree on the ground, it's oozing orange material. Looks like lava. It's like fluorescent orange. Anyone have any idea what that would be? I don't want to touch it, but I want to see if it's underneath it. Never saw that before. Just to update you on my progress, I'm fairly confident now this area here was the axis that I had, the rail bed. And confirmation of that is because we have rail ties. Miniature size, miniature spikes. 100% this was the rail bed. And I want to get closer because it does tie into this building. And when I show you the pictures, it's going to make that much more sense. We're on an elevated wall, I remember that. And there's a gap here. I'm hoping I could get a shot over here. If not, I may have to get down there lower, but this is very unforgiving, this landscape. I don't want to like step on something I shouldn't be stepping onto or into. All right, this is going to have to work from here. I'm not going to risk it. So, a couple things I want to show you. It's this exact building from almost this exact same spot. And what it shows is a wooden platform that came out of that doorway there, and it actually had rails on it. So rails or carts came off of where I'm standing now and went into there. So with this image, look at the before. You see how it used to look when it was in operation, even afterwards, and then how it looks today. If it wasn't for those pictures, you wouldn't really know. But you can still see where the indentions are, where the rails used to be. But there was a wooden platform that connected that building to this rail bed right here. So I'm glad I was able to share that with you, kind of show you before and after. But I want to get in there. I don't remember the access how. I'll figure it out. But the next shot you're going to see will be inside that building. So I did say the next clip will be inside the building. I'm right next to it. It's behind me. But I wanted to show you, though, what I had to traverse to get over here. This is much more of an undertaking than I was realizing, but I had to go down by that big tree there that's actually torched and burned, go through some waist-high grass and weeds, and trip and stumble over stumps and rocks that I couldn't see. But finally, we've made it. We have a little outbuilding here and the main building right there. Similar to what we saw with that other building with the blue tarp. It's got a little cutout. This is almost identical to that building, just a different shape. It's got a slanted roof instead of a A-frame roof. Knobs for knob and two wiring, so most likely these were electrical buildings. And that was my suspicion from the beginning. Another pad or foundation, that's actually made out of wood. Looks like that is chiseled out. Zzz. It's like they had little electrical substations around here. Coming over here, there is supports, like columns or piers. Something probably was placed on top of it. I do see a framing of something on the exterior of the wall. I'm not certain what that was for. They are pretty tall though. I mean, I'm reaching up to the top and it's over my head, so it's probably closer to 8 feet. I do smell a lot of oil and grease. And I think that's what all this black stuff is. It's old oil and grease. It smells like a junkyard almost. And I do see our access right there, so 100% we could get inside. Whoops. And here we are. This is what I remember, a very large building. Now the problem that we have is I don't think we could get access unless I find another way, but up there is where the rails came in. So I've got to try to find a way to get over there. I think this was a big machine building or a mill with like equipment for grinding down powder. I don't know, honestly. I'm just kind of throwing out there possible things, but oh yeah, there's actually another door up there. Another, almost like an upstairs, unless that's one open room, but you can see all the I-beams coming through. I wonder if they went straight across. They may have. They look like they're torched. So they may have went directly across, and there most likely wasn't upstairs, which would make sense for all those windows. So there's at least a second, maybe a third level to this. Then we have these walls here going right down the middle, heavily caked in grease and oil. It's actually really soft, greasy material. I remember this from last time too. There was a graffiti piece of, I believe, Jesus with like a giraffe head coming out of him. Never saw it before. And then there's some googly eyes up there looking down. Not even gonna guess how people got up there to place those there. Probably had a ladder. Little fire pit. I do like to give size scale for things. So first off, going from end to end this way, I'm going to say between 20 and 25 feet across. From the ground all the way to the very, very top, because it's sloping upwards. Let me see. Probably 40 to 50 feet. Now, lengthwise, that end to that end, I'm going to say it's probably, let's see, I'd say probably closer to 80 feet, give or take 10 feet. Looks like upstairs portion right there as well. So like everything's been gutted, but they left the skeleton of the building, if you want to call it that. Just the framing of it. Now showing you size compared to me, you know, it's just a massive place when you look at an individual walking inside of here. So by no means a small structure. I wish I knew what role it played in the mill area here, but regardless, it was a prominent building. Pretty confident it had equipment inside, and even more confident that there was different levels to this, at least a second, maybe a third level to this. And it's not just, you know, a flat roof. It's higher on the right side than the left. You can see the offset triangle there. It's got some neat elements to it. This area here is like a big bay door, garage door. And here's looking where we were earlier. We were up on the other side of that building. The building with the blue tarp over there. So just kind of showing you how everything is laid out here. I'm going to take some pictures. I'm going to see if I can maybe get upstairs to where the rails came in. And then we'll see what our next decision is going to be from there as to what we do next. I think I found my access. Looks like something maybe was going in there as well. Long, narrow slit. There's the opening. There's actually a little platform right there that I should be able to get up on and inside of. It's just temporarily sitting here. That was sketchy, really slippery. I'm gonna head inside, check it out, and see what it's like. So we're officially inside. You can see now it's lower, a lower platform, and you can see the indentation for where the mine car would have stopped. Right there. So it would have stopped there, and from there, I'm guessing they maybe loaded it here. You can see all these openings here. There may have been chutes coming down possibly. Because it looks like it'd be really hard to unload. There's nowhere for it to dump. There's also a frame of something here made out of metal. And this is looking down to where we were earlier. Oh, I just walked into a friggin' spider web. Yeah, that's the main room there. Little front room. Like I said, it looks like something maybe came through there. And there's the upstairs second level with the windows. And then you have this little thing right here. Not sure what that's for. This building is charred too. A lot of the timbers are charred and burned. But what do you think? You think this was a loading room? That's what I'm thinking. It looks like there would have been hatches over those. And maybe something gravity fed came through, whether it came into here or directly into a loaded empty car. I'm just trying to piece it together to see how the innards of this building would have worked. We got that long, narrow slit with the metal plate on the top part there. But those, I don't know. Your input's definitely going to be appreciated. Look at the triangle there. It looks like almost like for a shelter, like a fallout shelter. This is my favorite part, though. I do like how it's specifically built just for these little mine cars to come in here. And they came through on a little platform along the rail bed. So just up this trail is where I have my bike parked. We were checking out the building. I came down this way and looked off to my right and my left and found a lot more evidence of the rail line. Little mine carts. Through here, there's numerous ties, even some footers. You can see they go straight through, heading toward that direction where we just came from. This is probably the line that went through into that building. But all around here, though, there's pieces of wood, pieces of concrete. See, there's more ties here going in that direction. There's a bunch of little support footers here. And then we even have a little platform here. Retaining wall, almost like cribbing with the ties. Little platform here. I don't see any rails here though. Looks like something could have been dumped off of there. But this whole area is just littered with ties, and with ties comes rails. But wait, there's more, because on the other side, there's even more stuff. So it goes right across this trail that came down. Right here, as well as something else. Little platform. So the rest of the stuff we just saw is directly across there on the other side of the bike. At this point, I am a little bit lost. kind of disoriented because we took a bunch of different trails. I know eventually this will lead back to where we started, but I don't know if I was on this trail or not, or even if there's anything out here. So I guess we'll find out one way or the other. There's a trail shooting off to the right here. And that goes down towards the rails. That's not going to help, but oh, I may have found something else though. Decided not to go any further because it does go down pretty steep in towards the rails, but over here I found this, which is just a block of concrete, but further back I found something more interesting, at least from first impression. There is a pole right there, utility pole. And what is this? Holy crap. I have a flashlight. Looks like a valve down there. Goes down maybe 6-7 feet. And we're also on top of a retaining wall. Oh, look at this. Old danger explosive sign. Keep out. Well, we're really high up here. Holy crap. I'm going to show the exterior of this. I'm pretty sure it's all made out of ties. Oh, there's ruins down there I never saw before. That's completely new to me. This is like a dumping area. There would have been more down there, gravity fed. But look at this sign. It's shot up, unfortunately. But that is so cool. There used to be lots of those around here for the bunkers and the work sites. Well, since we made a new discovery, I think we need to go down there and investigate it and document it, because this area I definitely never saw before when I was here 7 years ago. So let's get down there and check it out. This is too neat not to share, but the craftsmanship of this retaining wall is incredible. Look how they constructed it. Combination of ties and looks like river stone. Just layers upon layers, almost like a cake. These are like the main structure of it, and these are all filler or caps, where behind it looks like some ash material. I've never seen a retaining wall like that. That is pretty neat. But I'm going to come down in front of it here. Wow, this is a huge friggin' wall. And it's all constructed out of timbers and ties and riverstone. I'm calling it riverstone because it's all smooth rocks, like they were eroded with water. That wall is about 15 feet high too. And then it comes down to here. And that's about a 10-foot drop down into there, maybe even closer to 15 over there. So this is foundations for something that was here. So that's the furthest one over here. I'm on this main one right here. And then we do have the rectangle shape, one in the middle, a lower one down there, and then another one over there. But look at that wall. God, that is phenomenal. I don't know why I love that so much, but I do. It's really well made. So my thinking is that something was dumped from up there and gravity played a part and it came down here, and there probably was equipment or bins or anything down below to kind of contain or work the material. Yeah, so this wall comes around, goes that direction. There's a lip on it up there. And then we have a base down here, which, hey, Christmas lights. Of all places to find them. I think this is someone's drinking area. So here's a good look from down bottom. We've got the walls out of concrete and the big retaining wall up there. But seeing this for the very first time, I am thoroughly impressed, not only with the construction elements, but with how well it's holding up, and just knowing that it's kind of in the outskirts of this property that I never knew it existed. But we found it just by taking a random trail, and now it's been documented. Back on the trails. Unexplored area. There's a pipe right here. You're into a big clearing. No trees, no nothing, just tall grass. It's getting pretty swampy back here. I think I'm going to turn around. There's definitely more trails to explore. This looks like an old rail bed. Oh wait, what is that? Found something. Wow, this is a different area than we've seen so far. There's a clearing here, really nice clearing. Someone has made a nice big fire ring, but they left all their cans out here. It's nice open forest. There's a trail going in this direction. The trail we just came from, I got off of that clearing that I said was turning swampy by that big pipe. But then over here I do see some structures. One of which I may remember. There's also a trail right here too. Oh, I think this is the old house. Or what's left of it. Yep, I'm pretty certain this is the old house. Now, it wasn't a house like you would say, by today's standards, but it was a house-like structure. Probably used for, whether it be break rooms, office space, something else. But I remember it being back here, it was definitely more intact than this. But then someone has created a little fort or hunting blind back here, just off from the house. This I don't remember. Looks like they're trying to camouflage it. I'm looking around too to see if there's any trail cams. When I was here last time, I was able to actually walk inside. It was still intact, but you could tell it was on its way out, and it finally fell under its own weight. I think I remember there used to be like a table in here, maybe a chair. This was the doorway right here. There's a pipe over here. Corrugated metal pipe sticking out of the ground. I do see a lot of poles back here too that are cut. Wow, how far does that go? Okay, not as far. Probably 7, 8 feet deep. Definitely wouldn't want to get stuck in there. This is sadly too far gone to do anything with it. It is just slowly rotting wood, corrugated plastic for the roof, covered in nature's carpet. The only thing that's really holding it up now is this tree. It's leaning right against it. But it was a home-like structure. Probably had multiple uses throughout its lifetime. And now today it's literally a shell of its former self. I'm sure all the moss, nature's carpet on top of that, weighed it down and kind of sped up the process of it collapsing. But again, a pretty neat area. I'm going to explore some of these trails since we're back here. Kind of came to a fork in the road, or a crossroads if you want to call it that. And maybe we'll find something else along these trails. If not, I'll find another trail and we'll keep going. There's still more area to cover. And as I expected or suspected, there's more out here to be seen. Not everything is gone. All right, I found a trail that I passed out earlier. Figured we head down at this time. Look at this! Another freaking building. Boy, all these trails kind of lead to something pretty neat. It just appears to be another one of those electrical buildings that we saw earlier. It's about the third one. It's got the same cutouts, the small windows, small ports. So, not worth checking out, but neat to see hiding back here. It's like we're on another rail bed here. It's elevated, flat. I was hoping to see some leftover rails back here, but it looks like they extracted everything out of here. All right, met another crossroads here. Jesus. And I just found something else. Came to the crossroads, hung a right, and brought me to this area here. It's a building site. Now it's a shooting range. This building has a metal screen on the top for the roof. Got themselves a nice little shooting area here. Again, fairly confident this was electrical. I do see conduit, that wood post like we saw earlier. The same type of base on the inside. Yep, these are all little electrical buildings. Oh, behind it there's more. Some type of foundation here. Some wood stacked up and on top of the concrete with anchor bolts coming out. Concrete supports right there. And over here, another retaining wall. Not as large. This one is primarily large timbers like this. Creosote soaked timbers here. This area is a literal gold mine of activity. I thought a lot of it was gone already. There's still a lot more out here. I think some of the stuff I do remember seeing my last visit, but some of it I'm definitely seeing for the first time, or at least I imagined more of it would be gone. This is actually a shopping cart. Saks Fifth Avenue shopping cart. It's a long ways from home. All right, back on the bike, on the trails, we continue. I've been doing a lot of backtracking, finding out I'm on trails I've been on before, looking for ones I haven't been on yet. I know there's one or two that I haven't covered yet, but I just can't find them. I keep ending up in the same areas. So I'm just kind of retracing my steps to see if I can come across them. So I retraced my steps. It brought me back to this building, the electrical building where the tree's laying on it. But I looked off to my left over here and noticed some material. More specifically, some rail ties. You can see them lined up here. There's a pile of lumber here. Ties are going, but then we do have some supports, concrete supports. Some more up there, and then a bigger, larger, either wall or building up there. Now, when I'm calling those little buildings, electrical buildings, I mean, they could be, they could not be, but all signs do point to that. And this appears to be like another one right here. And this one had a platform behind it with all these platforms in a row, anchors on them. Something was placed on top of here directly by this building. This one definitely has more electrical components. Those porcelain insulators and the little offshoot window port. And this one's situated in a bedrock area. You can see it along the side of it, behind it here. So that combined with these pillars or columns, and then the little rail ties down there, something was taking place here. Yeah, this is identical. Another pad in the middle there. This one is concrete, the other ones are wooden. And some of them we've noticed have A-frame roofs. This one is just a pitched roof. Okay, so I think I have one more area to go. I think it's down this trail that we're heading down, but instead of making a right, I'm going to make a left. And I think that's an area I haven't gone to yet. Not sure if there's anything there, but I'm just trying to cover all my bases before we do kind of say, okay, we did it. We covered everything we could. Our job is done. But I don't want to say that too early. I didn't even realize it too, but all these ties are up on top of a wall. A concrete wall. It's like right here too, right in the middle of the forest. Another utility pole. This one has the insulators on it. Oh! What's that? There's something right there. I'm going to drive my bike down closer. Let's investigate that. I literally walked 5 steps away, just showing you that utility pole and that discovery back there. Came upon this on the ground. I'm like, hey, that looks like for a light, possibly. Well, you look up, that's a light pole. You can see the fixture of it right there. So that came off of there. So they had lights in this area. Can't imagine what else is out here though. And like I said, not to be repetitive, but this is the worst time of year to come here and do this, where everything is so hard to see. But look at how much we're finding given those conditions. All right, back to the bike. Let's head down the trail and check out what I believe is another structure. All right, I'll be right back. Stay there. Green ferns are super thick. Kind of making my own path back here, but there is something back here. What is this? I'm glad you asked, because I don't know either. What I do know is I believe rails came through here. Looks like a little rail bed. Everywhere I'm seeing these ties, many of which have spikes, I'm even seeing some plates, I'm knowing that rails came through here. So even though we're taking trails, there's rails going off the trails, if that makes sense. It's like a little shack. It's wood and tin metal. And it's not too far down from where we were with that little electrical building up there. I said the wooden platform and the rails over there. So it's only a few hundred feet away. But if you look, there's something. These poles. Okay. So right there is the electrical pole. Over there is the light pole. These posts are going right to the electrical pole. These may have carried power. I'm thinking, I don't know. These may have been taller, they were cut, but they're all like kind of the same height. They continued down maybe another 20 feet or so from what I could see. But these are going directly to that electrical pole right there. This building, though, I don't know if this is the actual location of it or if it was placed here. It's not big. Looks like maybe a 6x6 building. It's not big at all. It's next to a concrete pad or block. But there is, let's see, we follow this rail bed. There's another pipe here, a PVC pipe coming out of the ground. Let's see, get the old flashlight out. That one has water down there. Again, looks like it goes down about 6-7 feet, but that one has water at the bottom. And then we have this block here. Now, as far as I know, I think I covered about more than 90% of this area. There's a few little trails I didn't take just because they're really overgrown, really thick. I'm gonna basically take the main road one more time and see if there's any other obvious trails that I didn't do yet. If so, I'm gonna take those. If there is something of significance or importance, obviously I'll share it with you. If not, I'm just gonna make sure I didn't miss anything. And then we'll start making our way back towards the front, closer to the airport. But this mind-boggling how much is still back here. I thought most of it was gone. Even though most of it's gone from when it was in its working days, there's still a lot back here. Even though they've been working in certain parts of the area with the equipment, some stuff is gone. There's still a lot back here. You guys should have told me there was something literally feet away from where we just were. Had my bike parked right there. Got on it, came over this little hill, and found this. Jeez. Can't make any progress when you keep finding so much stuff. That's not a bad thing either. This building's a bit different from the rest. Partially underground. Wooden roof is still intact. See some little anchors here. Looks like conduit. Little stone wall next to it. Almost looks like a little pump house. But I believe we could get in on the other side where it drops down. It's kind of built into an embankment. This may have been storage, actually. Yep, I think this is one of the old storage bunkers. If you could One giveaway is right there. Because you see the outline? That's where one of those explosive signs would have been. Now, I'm not 100% confident because, I'll see, I'm torn because some of the old bunkers that were removed already were made out of wood. But I'm not sure if they held black powder or just a component of the black powder. But they are made out of wood, which you'll see in that earlier video of mine. Typically, if you're going to store black powder, it's going to be in a non-flammable room. The fact that this has a wooden roof kind of supersedes that idea that this is a storage bunker, but it does have metal lining on the inner part here covering the wood. Looks like there may have been a switch there, and we did look like it was conduit, so yeah, there's wood here. Maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe it just held something of explosives, but not necessarily black powder. Look at that nest. What the hell is that? It's like for a friggin' sandworm or something from Tremors. Somebody was here in 95, 6/22/95, Nui. That's 2 years before this closed. This closed in 97. That may have been a worker. So I'm standing on a wood floor. So I may have to retract my statement. Although I do think this is maybe for something of importance or maybe explosives. I don't think it was black powder. There's too many flammable materials in there. The door frame is wood. The left wall is wood. But it does give off that feeling that this was a protected building because it's built into an embankment. You know, the outside of it's protected, especially from the road or the trail. It's only open on the outside here or the back side. Or the other side, whatever you want to say. But let me know your thoughts, what you think. Something was placed there. I thought for a second it was that explosive sign. Looks like a larger sign though. But nonetheless, it's a really cool finding. Different from what we found. And from what I can remember, I don't think I found this before. This is new for me. But at least today, we found it. We documented it. After you watch the photo montage, sit back, relax, and hold on because we're going to take a speedy ride on this old powder mill abandoned road. Found a nice flat rock here. Runway's just over there, so we may catch a plane or two. Spent a few hours back here, longer than I was anticipating. Came back here about 10 o'clock. It's after 1 o'clock now. And that's based on all the discoveries. If we skunked out and saw nothing, this video would have been over much sooner. I would have been back home. But we discovered a lot of things still hiding out there. Now, a couple of things I mentioned before, but just to kind of recap and recover, is that I came the wrong time of year based on the foliage and overgrowth. Everything's kind of hidden. Trails are growing in. Things are just hard to navigate and maneuver than if I was to come in the wintertime. But I feel I came the right time of year because nothing has happened yet. Although some areas have been worked and altered with equipment, they're not actively working right now, June of 2024. I had the place to myself. Not one other person was back here. There's also nothing gated, nothing posted, nothing purple painted, nothing saying we shouldn't be back here. Although it is owned property, it's reclaimed property by nature. Numerous trails being utilized by locals for off-road use. People partying back there, having fires, beer cans. So I'm not the only person to come back here. And obviously if they were working or if it was posted, I wouldn't be back here. But that's why I decided to do this sooner than later. The other thing too is that I thought 90% of everything was gone. Based on when this place was in operation, yes, 90% of everything is gone. But I thought from when I was here in 2017, even more things would be gone. The only thing that's really gone are those storage bunkers that were near the airport area here. There was just a small handful of them, nothing significant, but they were here. Those are officially gone. As far as I can remember, everything else is still back there, including stuff I never discovered before. We made a couple of findings that I never saw before, never knew they were there. And honestly, I never would have found them if it wasn't for you guys who are sitting on top of my e-bike. The e-bike made it such a fun journey and adventure, a fantastic way to explore. I covered, as far as I know, nearly every trail out there, except for like one or two that are just too overgrown or too swampy. So the e-bike helped me discover new findings that I never knew existed. And I still am fascinated with this landscape, how it went from a barren natural landscape to a really intricate, complex facility with roads, rails, buildings, electricity, water, to now going back to where it started, back to nature. Fingers crossed that that proposed plan of a warehouse facility doesn't take place and that it can at least remain like this for a few more years. It's not only history, but it's also a fantastic place to explore. I had so much fun just riding those trails. The last segment of me coming down at a higher speed on that old abandoned mill road, that was a blast. I was approaching nearly 30 miles an hour, just zooming on these old dead roads and just be able to have a great day out here exploring ruins of an old powder mill that was unfortunately home to a deadly accident, not once, not twice, but a few times. But the most recent one was in '97. That one was the final straw. They pulled the plug, relocated to Louisiana. And I really wish I had a YouTube channel or was at least filming in the later 90s, say 98, 99, 2000 era. I was back here once on my ATV around that time. And the place was nearly a ghost town where everything was still there, just empty of people. Nature was just starting to slowly overgrow it and reclaim it. But all the rails were there, the wooden structures, the buildings, roads, streetlights. I mean, it was really a sight to see. I wish I took pictures, wish I had a video camera back then. It was nearly intact from when it was in operating days. And for whatever reason, and I still don't understand this, is even with old mine facilities or old warehouses, they tear down a lot of the structures and infrastructure, but not all of it. There's still probably between half a dozen and a dozen buildings back there. A lot of rail ties, but the rails are gone. Spikes are still there. It just doesn't make sense why they leave certain things and remove the others. But enough. I could go on and on about these things. Not really important, but just things that go through my mind about these locations that I explore and cover. But anyways, I'm so glad you came along for this adventure. If this place doesn't change
say by the winter time. I will come back in the winter and explore once again, because I know there's probably more things out there that we didn't see today that are just hidden by nature. So if I'm able to, I'll be back again. If not, at least it's documented one final time. 7 years apart from when I was first here, 7 years later, here before any changes do take place. But thanks so very much for hanging out with me. Share your thoughts down below with anything you see or asked about with your help on certain things that we saw. Otherwise, take care. Thanks once again for hanging out with me and for coming along. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.